Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What's Kraken. This week, we're joined by Grant Waring, who's the Director of Digital Marketing, Media, and Content at ScoreMore Shows. He's also the team behind Astroworld, Dreamville, and Jambalaya. So Grant, it's a pleasure to have you. Today, we're going to be talking about festivals, promotions, and the live music industry outlook. Let's get cracking.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so first things first, can you tell us a bit about your background, how you started, how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I went to the University of Texas at Austin, and I went to some concerts for the first time when I was a junior and senior in high school back in the Dallas area, and really loved it. And then when I moved to Austin, there's a lot more concerts. I kept going to shows, and was always interested in it, but I didn't really know what the path of finding a career in that looked like. I actually originally wanted to be an architect because I like drawing and math, and then ended up studying journalism, and thought about being a music journalist. And then walking to a party the summer after my freshman year of college, I met a couple girls, one of whom ended up a couple years later introducing me to Claire, who's the co-founder of ScoreMore with Sasha. And I ended up working for them, passing out flyers, selling tickets hand to hand, very entry level, like street team position. And then throughout college, those responsibilities increased. I started our blog and managing that and writing for that. And also then eventually managing our social media. And then after college, started doing contract work for them, and that contract work evolved eventually into a full-time role. And now my role is, like you mentioned, managing our marketing, PR, content, all of our media, across our festivals.
Awesome. So it seems like you had kind of the usual route, but not always the usual route to get into music marketing and that kind of thing. And I know you've really made your way into doing festivals and that kind of thing. And it seems like having that planning background, analytical mind, that kind of thing really helps you. So what's kind of things that are different from planning a music festival, say pre-COVID 2019, kind of to today and looking forward into 2021 and 2022?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there's the safety aspect for fans. And then I think more so how I'm trying to think about things from more of a marketing perspective and fan focused perspective is really trying to, it's something we already did, of course, but trying to continue to prioritize it is making sure that the fans have a great experience. That's always been the safety of the fans and them having a great time has always been the top priority.
Right.
But focusing on a new way, especially since about April, May-ish, around then when shows started, kind of the floodgates opened a little bit, and a lot of festivals were announcing, a lot of shows were announcing, and now that we're in the fall and a lot of festivals are happening and shows are happening in general, I think it's, fans and people in general have a lot more to do. People have gotten vaccinated, and so now they're going out and they're spending more time at restaurants and the movies and concerts and whatnot. So I want to try to continue to prioritize giving fans the best experience possible, so that one, they have a great time at the festivals and shows they're attending, and then also want to come back.
Right. Is there anything interesting that you've kind of seen, maybe festivals that you've been working on, or other festivals that maybe are here to stay in terms of that kind of fan experience?
I don't know if there's something really specific I could pinpoint, but I definitely want to continue thinking of it in a really holistic way of fans having a good time.
Right. And that kind of leads me into kind of the fan experience online is generating content. And I know the festivals that you work with are amazing at generating content and kind of putting people into the festival from like an online perspective before the festival even happens. So when you're approaching like marketing a festival, like from planning through the on sale, how do you manage your content teams at like different stages? Like what goes into content production, like the need for data, the creator economy, and like how does it impact the festival overall by having that kind of content library ready to go?
It's a great question. I mean, producing the content and managing our content teams is one of, if not my actual favorite part of my job. It's really fun to be working with creative people and finding different ways, again, for that content to provide value to fans, whether it's showing them what is going on at a festival that they maybe wanted to attend and weren't able to, or it makes them want to go next year, or fans looking back on a weekend after having a good time and being able to look back on it through the content. But I do try to always manage our content and the content we're producing in a way that we can continue to use it to provide value to people. So thinking about it, how we're going to be using it once, a few weeks after the festival is played, and then we're kind of, not as active on socials. And then of course, as we're ramping up for the next year, trying to always think about how we can use that content to provide value for fans and to show new people that might be considering going to the festival what it's like and what that experience might be like.
Yeah, that's perfect. And also talking from like just keeping on the content perspective kind of topic here is we're seeing more like metaverse events, like things on Roblox, Fortnite, and like even live streams themselves. So how do you think that these kind of content formats will live together with live experiences moving forward?
So I don't have a ton of experience. I haven't worked on one of those type of metaverse events at all myself, but from experiencing them more from a fan perspective, I think there's kind of two ways to look at it. Again, this is more from me being a fan. Is I think they're really cool. I think there's a ton of different ways that can be done. Whether it's someone playing, an acoustic guitar in their living room for a live stream versus like, doing some huge production on a platform like Fortnite. I think that something that was positive about having this lull in people being able to attend live events is that opened the door for a lot of people that might not have ever attended those type of online events.
Right.
It's not something I personally ever really engaged with a lot. Not for any specific reason, but I did more just out of maybe call it boredom or curiosity.
Yeah. There's a lot of that during the pandemic.
During the pandemic and trying to, stay entertained. And I like a lot of it. And I think it provides a lot of value for fans. I think that it's more complementary. Mm-hmm. I think that'll be its place moving forward. Again, I'm not an expert on it and I don't have a ton of experience, if any, on it, but I think we'll see it be more of an experience of like it complementing live events. I just don't think that there's something that's hard to replicate digitally of actually being there with thousands of other people and experiencing the same thing and hearing the audio in that really high quality way of like, just the sound alone of a live show versus coming out of my TV, even if you have a good home theater set up, it's not the same. There's something that's not as tangible when you're watching something in a live stream as you are, when you're experiencing it live with a bunch of other people. That is one of the things that made me fall in love with live music and that I enjoy. And I think what everybody enjoys about it is being there and experiencing the same thing in person. But I do think that it's really cool and provides a really cool complementary experience. Sorry, a coworker was calling me. But yeah, I think it's really cool, and I think that it's cool that that's continuing to evolve, and that we'll continue to see how that can provide a great experience for fans and music fans.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think you really hit the nail on the head with it complementing kind of the live experience itself. And I think what the Fortnite, Roblox have done a good job of doing is getting that younger demographic more familiar with artists. I know we saw this with like The Weeknd, Travis Scott, who's I know one of the people you work with Astroworld, which is really exciting. Is getting that younger demographic kind of aware of the artist and kind of being able to use that to kind of push more of that content that you create, whether it be via ads or organic content, that kind of thing. So I think it's complementary is definitely hit the nail on the head. So yes, that kind of leads me on to like the digital marketing side of things, which is a great segue. And lately we're seeing a lot of like changes coming from the big tech giants when it comes to like privacy, security, that kind of thing. So from a promoter's perspective, how are you staying on top of these changes? And like, what do you think people need to be aware of? Like, for instance, like the iOS 15 impact on like pixels tracking, Facebook's limitation on like age targeting, etc. So love to like understand from the promoter's perspective, kind of things you've done to stay on top of it and stay relevant and make sure you're doing the best you can when it comes to that digital marketing.
Sure, absolutely. Of course, it's a tremendously important aspect of digital marketing right now. Privacy and data privacy and things like that have always been, of course, important and a priority. But I think that with the evolving landscape of how some of these big tech companies are, rolling out changes, we're of course having to adapt. I think a big part is working with companies like Tradable Bits, working with y'all of how we can work together to prioritize and make sure that we're still doing the best job possible. I'm not the biggest expert on those topics. I think that working with y'all again is very helpful, and also working with Live Nation on how to prioritize those things. I remember when I came back to work after briefly being furloughed, I was working with Tradable Bits, and we were talking to some of the Live Nation teams and some of your team members, and of course people that are experts in this field at Live Nation. I told them multiple times, use the analogy of like, if they have a PhD in understanding in this kind of stuff, I like maybe have like an associate's degree, right? Like I know enough to speak the language, but if they're fluent in French, I'm like I just finished first year French maybe. Yeah. But I also it doesn't change the fact that I know that it's a huge priority. And I think that, things like what changed in Europe with the GDPR changes and privacy changes, and then of course the CCPA changes, which I believe it was at the top of 2020. I think that ultimately that those kind of privacy changes, and I won't apply this, a blanket statement to all of them, because I think of it, what Apple did with their changes, and then how Facebook is adapting to that. And, I think it seems like one big conversation to me, but it's all very, very nuanced. But I do think that having an improved, for fans, regardless of the industry, having an improved and more healthy understanding of what their data looks like and how that relationship exists with certain companies, I think ultimately is a positive thing. I think it's kind of going through a phase right now of having a little bit of rocky updates, because everyone's trying to understand what's best and how to adapt. But ultimately, I think when things level out, that better and more healthy understanding from the fans will ultimately be a good thing.
Absolutely. And I mean, the past, I guess, almost 2 years now has just been like a time of change and rapid change as well. So, I mean, are there any like major trends or things that are kind of excited for the future of festival promotion and like music marketing in general? Anything that's kind of stood out to you this past kind of year or two that either you're like yourself have been able to do, or other festivals that you see kind of taking inspiration from?
I mean, it seems like more, whether it's because of what Facebook and Instagram are prioritizing algorithmically or not, but it seems like more video content is being produced by music festivals, which I like. I think that I like photo and video content and think they're both really cool and have their own unique, value for fans and creative people, artists expressing themselves. But I think that seeing more video being used is really cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's also nice being able to see kind of the vibe of the festival if you're looking to buy tickets or you want to kind of go with your friends and kind of see what A, the setup looks like, and B, kind of what's in store for you, I think. I know personally myself, when I first heard of Jambalaya, I was like, oh, it's a cool hip hop festival. And I saw the videos and I was like, this stuff's crazy. This shit's wild. So it was really cool to see kind of the vibe that you've been able to create kind of through your different festivals and that kind of thing. So just kind of to bring it back to relate to one of our earlier questions, is obviously you had like your start through meeting people, networking, that kind of thing, doing odd jobs here and there in like the music industry, from like handing out flyers all the way to working now doing marketing with music festivals. So do you have any advice for like people looking to break into the industry, kind of trying to figure out what they want to do in the music industry, whether that's on the music side, or the festival side, show side, that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing is figuring out how you can gain specific skills and provide value with those skills. Um, Working in the music industry isn't a job. Like marketing and figuring out customer journeys to figure out an effective way to bring return fans year over year. Like that's a skill that provides value to music festivals and to fans, right? So I think that finding a specific skill set um, and building that and working on it and learning how to provide value in the world of music. Also, it's that if they're kind of the same thing, but one is more like a person that's trying to break in, working on it, and another is more of like how you would interface with companies that whether they produce shows or their record labels or whatever, is like figuring out what you want to do. Do you want to work for a PR firm that represents artists, or do you want to work for, a record label as a PR person? I think figuring out what you want to do is really important also, because I'll meet people sometimes where there's like college age kids or whatever who are passionate and seem intelligent and are driven. But they're just like, I just want to work in the music industry. It's like figuring out a way to more acutely break in is a good angle to take. I also think that something that I've noticed is, a lot of, I think just the working professional world in general is who you know. And I think a bigger part of that than just, I think that can hold like a negative connotation where it's like, so-and-so knows someone, so their kid got a job. And I'm sure that exists, right? It inevitably will. But then there's also the side of like, someone interned with us, so I'm in the room with them. They're in our office 3 days a week for an hour. I talk to them. I know them as a person, as a young professional. So they then have a head start because they're just not a name on a resume, right? They're a person who I know, who I've talked with, who I've developed some kind of rapport and level of trust with. And I know that they can do XYZ because those were their responsibilities as an intern. And I've seen them, get responsibilities, do them, get better at them. So I think that that's a big one also, is finding some kind of way when you're young to get your foot in the door and interface with people and build relationships where you're building trust and they know that you're responsible and can do certain things, which kind of goes back to the, like, if you can do XYZ and have those responsibilities, it's like I talked about at the beginning of responding to this question, is having those skills and then building those skills and knowing what skills you want to develop. I also think that send short emails, cold emails.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to read 5 paragraphs. Nobody
get right to the point.
Not that they don't want to, but it's just that if you say, I'm Grant,
skip the
I'm
fluff,
a student
kinda.
at UT, I'm interested in live music PR, could I talk to you for 15 minutes sometime? Like very clear, like this is who I am. This is what I would like. Can I talk to you for a little bit? And from my experience, especially when I was a student, people are pretty open to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's extremely important because like we were all in that position once upon a time, right? We're all trying to figure those questions out and kind of what we want to do. And I think we're seeing a lot of people kind of like really grind a lot more, and that's kind of where the it's who you know kind of thing comes in. Is those people who are grinding know a lot of people versus people who just know people because of their like family connections or friend connections. So, and it's also important to remember a lot of these people are fans as well, so of music in general. So, they're always trying to get their feet wet, which is awesome. All right, so we're almost done here. So our last kind of question here is kind of bringing it all back to the fans, and that's asking yourself, what's your most favorable or most memorable fan moment?
Like with our shows or just in general?
Both. I mean, if there's something that you've personally done that you're like maybe proud of as like a fan, and then also something maybe outside of maybe a concert you saw or like an artist you saw that really kind of changed things for you.
Sure. We booked some Kendrick Lamar shows that were his first Texas shows in February 2012. That was the first show I ever personally photographed too. There's probably like 100 people there. It was, I think he released Section 80 in June, like late June of 2012. So it was like right before it really just like started hockey puck ramping up for him. Or not hockey puck, like hockey stick growth of just like blowing up. And so seeing that and just like everyone that was there is real palpable. You could tell, knew he was a really special musician and artist. From the personal fan side, I'm a big My Morning Jacket fan. So a friend of mine in high school showed me them like 9th or 10th grade. I think I really know their music. And then my junior year of college, I saw them at Hangout Fest. And they played at one of the main stages on the beach at sunset, which is, their music is really complementary to that type of environment. All of my friends that I went to the festival with wanted to go see someone else. I went alone and met people, and it was a really great experience. Yeah, there's a few more. I saw Rage Against the Machine in college.
Oh wow! Okay, that must have been awesome.
It was incredible. Probably my favorite show ever. It was what was and still is, I believe. I don't think they've still done a show yet back. They booked those arena shows or big shows
they had those.
That were supposed to tee off, I think, in like right before the pandemic started or right around. But yeah, that was still the last show they've ever done, I think, in July 2011. So a friend of mine in college, we both realized we were really big fans of their music and would kind of every month or so would be like, if they ever play a show again, because it had been a few years at that point, they were like, we're, as long as it's in North America, we're going to go. And then that year they announced a show, and we're like, well, we kind of got to do it now. So we went out to LA and saw that. So that was really cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for like taking time with us to chat. I know it's been quite a bit of time here, but yeah, thanks for all the knowledge you've kind of imparted on us. Great to have you. To everyone watching, stay tuned for the next episode of What's Kraken. We're going to talk more things about music, sports, entertainment, and fan engagement.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.
No worries. We'll chat soon. See you again. Bye.